Tonight we party, my friends.
Sip on mezcal, I like tequila, damn this shit tasty. Kid you not, I made about $1 million off a pink beanie. I feel like my life is a movie, damn this too easy. Can't catch me, I'm jumping the borders, hit the embassy, it's bag or die. 7 gold chains on me, call me Slick.
Welcome to the very first animation tutorial created by me. In this video, I'll be guiding you with steps on how to make a cinematic Roblox movie. So if you ever wanted to make movies like Oblivious HD, you came to the right place. By the way, this tutorial is highly recommended for R15 animations. I mean, you can still use it for R6, but the rigs showcased in this video will mostly be R15. If you use R6 but still want to learn how to animate, I can recommend this video, or that video, or this as well. Now without further ado, let's start with the tutorial. So first, you'll need to own Roblox Studio, and if you don't have it, just go to the Roblox page, go to create, and you can download the studio from there. You also need to have this plugin called Animator 2. If you don't have it, I'm sure there's ways to get it for free since it does cost money and a lot of money. You also need a script for the project you're doing, and if you don't have one, make one. I've learned that from making Bullet War Chapter 1 since I never had a script, and because of that, everything you saw was incredibly unpolished and super last minute. So if you're wondering why there was barely any dialogue in the movie, that is the reason. So do make one to make things extremely organized, and it can also help you know what you're doing if you have a bad memory like me. And obviously, you're going to need the background for where your characters are going to be, since it'll look plain and boring if it's just a template. In this tutorial, I'll be using this hospital map that I have. You can build your own background sets or find them in the toolbox. For me, personally, I'm too lazy to make my own models, so I either find them in the toolbox, get them from uncopyrighted games, or ask my fellow pal Min to help build a map. By the way, don't ask him to build for you, he's mine and mine only. So now that you have the background, you should also add in your characters. Thankfully for Moon Animator, there is a feature where you can actually insert characters. Just click on the character inserter right next to the Moon Animator, insert your rig, and that's how you can add a character in your Roblox template. An alternative method is to go to the avatar tab, click on rig builder, click my avatar, and there you go. There is this annoying thing on the top that will say the model's name, so you can just open it up, go to humanoid, go to display distance, and then select it at none. You can also customize your characters so that they won't all look the same. You'll need to install this plugin called Load Catalog Item by Artful. You can use any plugin you want. I've seen some tutorials that recommended other plugins, but personally I use this all the time, so I'm just recommending it in this video. The plugin of your choice is totally up to you. So what you're gonna do is to go to the marketplace, click on any accessory you want for your character, and copy and paste the asset ID. Then after that, go to the load catalog item plugin, paste the ID, then the asset should pop up in the toolbox. Delete everything in your current rig, and then drag the asset from the model to your character. Same applies for the shirt, except you don't need a plugin or copy the asset ID only. Just go to the shirt you want to put for your character, copy the link in its entirety, go to the character model, click on shirt or pants, then go to properties and paste the link in the shirt template. And that's how you do it. That's simple, right? Well, I can't say the same for the next part.
Hey, the fuck you mean you ain't heard no fucking?
Fuck am I doing getting money?
Thank you very much, kind sir. Now, before I begin this portion of the video, I would just like to let everyone know that I've been animating for about 4 years now, so you can 100% trust me. So first, go to your Moon Animator, click on New Moon File, and you should be granted with a blank template. You can set a name, duration of the animation you want, and add your characters. I won't be going into the details on how to make a fight animation since it'll be extremely boring and the timeline of a fight animation I made look like this. Plus, I don't want this portion to be too long since all I'm going to focus on is making a cinematic movie in general. So if you're here to look for advice on how to make a fight animation, I'm sorry, you came to the wrong video. All I can say about doing a fight animation is that you should always have a reference. Like, I think some of you probably don't know this, but this fight scene is actually a reference from this one part in Boy Kills World, which you should definitely check out, by the way. It's a really good movie. For this tutorial, I'll be animating a small conversation between 3 characters for the scene. And for your animations, you should always use sine or quad in out for smoother movements. You can experiment more with other easing styles, but those 2 are the main ones I use for my videos. You can also use Blender then import it to the studio, but the process is more time consuming and doing it all in Moon is more worth it anyways. If you wanted to do in Blender, I'm sure there's other tutorials out there, but for this tutorial, we'll be focusing everything in Moon. Now, for the important animation tip that I highly recommend, and if you skip this part, I can guarantee you your animations won't look that good. If you animate your keyframes like this, it'll look something like this. Not appealing, right? Well, here's a trick that I found out not too long ago. So when you animate your keyframes, like for example, the upper torso frames are in the exact same position as the head frames, what you're going to do is just delete the upper torso frame in the middle. I know it doesn't look much, but trust me, it makes a huge difference. Like, look at this. Much better, right? It's better to have frames at inconsistent positions because no human would move in a consistent way at all. Otherwise, it's going to look off and super robotic. The results? Now that we know how to animate, let's move on to the most important part of the video. Now, for us to pursue cinematic animations, we must pursue the 3 important steps: camera positions, the rule of thirds, and lighting. For camera positioning, go to the camera option and click on add. You'll be granted with a built-in camera rig with 2 options, seat frame and field of view. The seat frames are the equivalent to camera frames, so when you add a frame to one position, then move a few seconds forward and add another frame in a different position, it'll create a more lively visual to your animations. And another tip that you should take very seriously, because I made this mistake in 2021. For some reason, I thought that leaving the FOV at 70 was a good idea, but in reality, it just made the camera look like it was in 0.5 filter throughout the entire thing. To achieve the ultimate cinematic view, always leave the FOV at either 30 to 35. Make it 40 if it's a fight scene or a wider shot. The lower your FOV is, the better. The FOV can also act as camera movements by adding a frame to one position, then a few seconds in add another frame with the FOV changed to a different number. Don't make it increase too much, otherwise it's gonna look fast like this. Unless it's a scene to build tension. Definitely go from 35 to 33. It'll create a more slower and smoother paced movement for your animation. Now, for the rule of thirds. You can click on C or go to camera and find a grid option, and a grid should be seen on your screen. Now, this is really important for camera angles because it can help show what can be seen or not in your frame. It's best if the character can be seen in the middle of the box, and for close-up shots, the eye should be in the position of the line on the center or corner. That way, it can really help to know where the viewer's eyes are so that it won't be awkward to look at. And now, for the lighting. There are 2 options. One, you want your scene to be in a sunny day, but you don't want it to look extremely generic like the base plate lighting. Or 2, you want your scene to be in a dark, gloomy night, maybe even some rain to make it more dramatic. For this scene, I'll have it to be darker to make it more dramatic, and the lighting is important to portray the mood of the scene. If you want it to be happy, make sure that it's bright and sunny. If you want it to be sad, then have it to be dark and gloomy. Best advice I can give is to play around with the settings and never use the default skybox. You can look around in the toolbox for better ones, and also play around with the color correction too, so that your scenes can look like this. God, where the hell is the waiter at? There finally, Jesus Christ, it took you long enough. Now, I'll keep this short and simple. An editing app is your choice to pick. I personally use Vegas Pro 17 to edit my videos. So what I can say about editing is that it's always better to go crazy with the sound design, even for small sound details like walking or cloth interactions. Ambience is also really important, even with the soundtracks included. An example I can show is the bathroom fight scene from the Mall Santa Shootout video. Here's a cut without the background sound. You can also add voice actors to make it feel more immersive, but it's totally up to you if you want to add subtitles instead to save the trouble. You can go to casting call or post a tweet about it, and you can find them there. There's a lot of VAs who can do volunteer work, so don't worry about paying them if you don't have a budget for your projects like me. But speaking of budgets, I guess it's time to advertise my Patreon. Yeah, that's right. If you made it this far into the video, I have a Patreon account and you can actually pay for different tiers to get specific perks. Not only will you get exclusive content, but this is also a way you can support me as a whole so that I can further expand my projects and maybe even commission people since I'm working with a small team at the moment. But yeah, please do buy it so that I can actually earn money. YouTube is not giving me money at all, so this is another way for me to actually make profit off of my videos. Okay, ad over. Let's get to the final chapter of the video. You know what? I'm actually sick and tired of this. Hey, you give me that. Give it. Okay, we're just gonna ignore that. Now, some bonus tips. If you want your camera to shake like this, select your 2 camera frames, go to frame, and click fill. You'll be granted with this thing called the wiggle tool, which can help shaking things up if you're too lazy to make them frame by frame. The amount is up to you, but don't make it too much unless it's for punch impacts. My recommended amount is 0.5 to 0.3 in under 20 seconds. Now click on OK and your camera is pretty much going to shake throughout the entire animation. If you want your camera to look like someone is hand holding it, this is where the second option of the camera rig comes in. So what you're going to do is add in a rig, and it can be a blank rig. It doesn't really matter. Then you're going to make everything transparent and make the head the only thing that can be seen. That is because the head is going to act as the camera's eyes. But don't forget to make the head transparent after you're done with it. Otherwise, you can make a really common mistake like this. Now what you're going to do is go to the camera rig, click on the 3 dots, and then toggle the attach to part option. Now don't forget to add a character rig to the animation file, and then add a frame to the attach to part. Double click on it, and you'll be presented with this. Go to the character rig, click on head, and then click set. And now the camera is going to be viewing whatever the character model sees. This helps a lot with a more action-oriented camera, because if you follow the inconsistent rule from the animation portion of this tutorial, it can look something like this. You can also use the attach to part feature to do first-person camera views by having it set to the character's head. That way it'll look something like this. We have finally reached the end of this video. If you still have any questions on wanting to know how to do certain stuff, comment them down and I may do a part 2. If this video does blow up, please be sure to check out my other content, since I've put all of my blood and sweat and tears into them. And also, now I actually kind of needed views and money because I killed the only guy on my team. So yeah, thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you in the next time I upload.
Down on myself, hope you're doing well.